What's going on, guys? Today we're going to talk about the fact that Google employees are pissed. The Google employees are outraged because the company came along with some layoffs at a really bad time and didn't even tell anybody that they were really doing this. This is kind of interesting because a lot of tech companies are doing a lot of layoffs because they overexpanded. And right now, Google employees are fighting back against the layoffs that are happening at their company. And I'm going to tell you why I think they actually have a point. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I am your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black wealth and Black economics every single day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day. Under one condition, the condition is that we are Black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of our priority list, not the bottom. Black first means that we don't just make wealth for everybody else. We want to make wealth for ourselves. Black first means we educate our children on economics. If you agree with this philosophy, put a B1 in the chat. And those of you who are new, welcome to the B1 Nation. We're not playing, we're getting it done. We are the smartest most economically intelligent human beings on the planet. That's where we are. That's where we're going. That's what we're going to be. All right. So here's what I want to talk to you guys about. There is an interesting thing happening at Google, and I wanted to talk about this on the podcast this morning because basically this is something that I think really should be happening in a lot of these companies. The employees at Google are fighting back against the layoffs. Apparently, according to CNBC, Google announced the layoffs, but they didn't really announce them. They kind of sprung it on people. And they didn't just lay off people that were new or people that were bad at their job. They were laying off people that had been with the company for many years, laying off people that had just gotten promoted, taking away their access out of the blue. And so in a way, it's like your girlfriend or your boyfriend dumping you, but you thought you were going to get married, or you go on a trip. I had a friend this happened to. I'm not kidding. She said that she went on a vacation, or not a vacation. She went to a conference and came back, and her husband had packed up every single thing in the house, and he had moved out and left her a note on the kitchen table. So that was kind of cold. She needed some therapy to get over that, and I don't blame her. I mean, that would be a pretty terrible way to lose a spouse, right? So Google kind of did the same thing to their employees. They kind of ghosted their employees, apparently, according to some of the people that are still there. And so here's what happened. I'm gonna read a little bit of this to you, and then I'm gonna give you some of my thoughts in terms of what I'm seeing here. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button as I do that. Please hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. It says here that as Google announced a company-wide layoff, employees said they unexpectedly found their access cut off. So their access was just cut off out of the blue. Employees have rallied to find out who's been laid off while demanding answers from leadership. So they're fighting back. They're not just sitting there quietly taking it. It comes as company leadership must confront the outspoken employee base who remain. So they've got these outspoken employees who are like, "Oh, hell to the no, this ain't right. We're going to push you guys on this." And again, I'm going to tell you at the end why I think this is a good move. And also, I'm going to talk to you about how layoffs like this impact the stock price and what might be going on in the mind of management. Okay, so Google employees are scrambling for answers from leadership and colleagues as the company undergoes a massive layoff. On Friday, Alphabet-owned Google announced it was cutting 12,000 employees, roughly 6% of the workforce. So 6%, let me do the math here in my head. So I'm thinking that means they have about 250,000 employees and they cut off about 12,000. Let's see here. While employees have been bracing for a potential layoff, they are questioning leadership about the criteria for layoffs, which surprised some employees who woke up to find their access to company properties have been cut off. Some of the laid off employees have been tenured or recently promoted. Long tenured, not tenured. In academia, we got tenure where you have a job for life, which is kind of a weird, archaic system. They're going to get rid of you eventually. But in corporate America, you ain't got tenure. You're long tenured, but they can still, they could like get rid of you and they'll replace you in a week, or you die at your desk and they replace you in a couple of days. So just, be careful how loyal you are to these corporations. Some of the laid off employees, let's see, they've been long tenured or recently promoted, raising questions about the criteria of whose jobs were cut. Shortly after CEO Sundar Pichai's initial email to employees Friday morning, Google search boss Prabhakar Raghavan. So they're hiring a lot of Indians at Google. That's interesting, right? Not that that's bad. I mean, India actually produces a lot of great engineers, but you got to kind of take note of that, right? When you're talking about searching for jobs and all that. And nothing against anybody that comes from other countries, but I do know that other countries are more protectionist than the United States is in terms of just bringing any employee from anywhere into the country. I know somebody that's trying to, get cut, not custody. Sorry, I just woke. I ain't had all my coffee yet. They're trying to get residency in a European country, actually Denmark, and it's very, very hard for her to get residency in Denmark. In Denmark, they're blocking you from coming in there and just taking jobs and doing whatever you want. It's kind of only the United States that kind of believes anybody can come in and leave Americans unemployed while they're bringing people in from other countries. So it's interesting that when I'm reading about Google, I'm reading all these deep, long Indian names instead of reading American names. Not to be not anything against anybody else, but I wonder if it's just as easy for me to go to India and take a job from an Indian as it is for an American to come to America and take a job from an American. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. Give me a yes if you can hear that and not get mad because it sounds like you're being anti anything. Because I think that we label things in an inappropriate way without sort of acknowledging that we lose when certain resources are taken. It's not always a good thing for you. All right, so anyway, let me keep going. Let's see here. The search boss, a guy, Prabhakar Raghavan, sent an email to employees saying he also feels the responsibility to reach out and asking them to save questions for next week's town hall. There will be bumps in the road as the organization moves forward with the layoffs, Raghavan noted. The company provided an FAQ for the layoffs, which CNBC has seen, but employees have complained that it doesn't give much detail on many answers. Employees have flooded Dory, the company's question-asking platform, and set up virtual communities to figure out who's been laid off and why. Directors have been telling employees to hold questions for the town hall taking place next week. Google did not immediately respond to comment. The scramble highlights the challenges Google could face in maintaining a supportive and productive company culture for its resistive workforce of more than 160,000 full-time employees. Further confrontations are possible as the company said it plans to lay off international employees, but has yet to determine which ones. So far in the U.S., employees have been laid off across various businesses, including Chrome Cloud and Experimental Area 120 unit. Some employees working on the company's artificial intelligence programs were also laid off. A list of top-rated inquiries from employees viewed by CNBC contained pointed questions for executives. How were the layoffs decided? Some high performers were let go from our teams. One top-rated question read, this negatively impacts the remaining Googlers who see someone with high recognition, positive reviews, promo, but still getting laid off. So this is interesting. This is hurting their company's sentiment. It really sucks. It kills morale. If you ever run a business, you got to be careful with morale. It kills morale when you take somebody that is seen as a model performer, that is like, the right-hand guy or the person that's like at the top of the food chain, and you see them get their head chopped off, then everybody else is sitting around saying, ooh, what about me? So then they start secretly putting their resume out to look for another job. They're kind of half in the relationship, half out. And it's really true for any relationship. It's just like dating, if somebody is constantly threatening to dump you, and you're scared of them dumping you, then what are you going to do? Well, you're going to keep your options open so you have somewhere to go in case they get rid of you. So not feeling safe in this relationship is kind of what the Google employees are expressing. And I think that's interesting to acknowledge. Now, here's another interesting thing. A lot of tech companies are cutting their employees. Microsoft laid off 10 or 12,000. Was Amazon laid off about 20,000, I believe. And other tech companies are kind of following the trend. They kind of move in herds. And why is this happening? Well, if you look at the stock prices of most of these companies, you'll notice that over the last year, you've seen like some stock price depression. You've seen, I'm going to share my screen and show you all Google stock real quick. Google stock has really taken a beating. Let me pull this up on the screen. And let me just tell you, the shareholders don't play. The shareholders are like, yo, wait a minute, partner. Hold up. You might sure, you can, do a kumbaya and you can take care of the employees and tell the employees that they matter and that they're first. But if the shareholders are losing, then the shareholders get pissed. And when the shareholders get pissed, then the shit rolls downhill. And that's pretty much what you're seeing. So right here, you see that Google stock is at $98. It's dropped 24.8% in the last year. That is an absolute no-no for shareholders. Shareholders are upset about this. Now, if you look at the last month, though, you'll see Google stock has gone up 10%. Last 6 months, not so bad, 14%. Last 5 years, if you held Google, you made 65% ROI. That's pretty good. But you look down here, if you look at the company's, profitability, the price earnings ratio is 19.84, relatively high, but not as high as it once was. And I can't find their numbers in terms of their revenue and stuff like that. But I do know that Google, their revenues are pretty insane. Let me see, Google revenue. for 2022 was $250 billion. So this company, so what the employees are asking is a legitimate question. The employees are saying, "Oh, wait a minute, man, you made $250 billion, and you are claiming broke. Like you're claiming that you have to get rid of all these people." And they're sitting there just like they're confused, and I'd be confused too. If you made $250 billion, why in the world they make 70 billion in a quarter, literally in the third quarter of 2022. They make 70 billion, $69.1 billion. So a lot of employees are asking a legitimate question. They're saying, look, we know we were an instrumental part of making this $250 billion for you, and now you're acting like you can't afford to keep paying us when we're seeing executives walking away with multi-million, multi-billion-dollar pay packages. We're seeing all these shareholders that are going to eventually be making money, and that's kind of an interesting paradox. That a lot of companies face. Now I'm looking here to see. I want to find out what their profit was last year. Let me see. Their annual profit. Okay, their revenue is 256 billion. I want to find profit. Let's see. Profit. Let's see. Google parent company reported earnings that were below analyst expectations, bringing in 13.9 billion in profit in the last quarter of 2022. So here's the paradox of capitalism that you're really seeing played out here. Milton Friedman at the University of Chicago in the 1970s basically pushed a notion that has trickled down, which is incredibly unhealthy for the economy, which is that the job of the company managers is to maximize shareholder wealth. That's their main goal. That's their number one mandate. They're not supposed to think about anybody else. The problem with that mandate is that when you focus only on shareholder wealth, you're ignoring the needs and desires and hopes and dreams of anybody else. You're ignoring your suppliers, their financial stability. You're ignoring your employees. You're ignoring the environment. You're ignoring your customers. You focus solely on maximizing shareholder wealth. And the only extent to which you take care of employees or customers or suppliers or the environment is to the extent that doing those things will maximize shareholder wealth. So shareholder wealth is primary. Those other needs are secondary. Now, the problem with that, though, is that you run into situations like this where you have a company that literally made $13 billion in profit. I mean, that's a massive, that profit, remember, revenue is one thing. 70 billion in revenue. That's pretty impressive. Give me a yes in the chat if you understand how impressive $70 billion in revenue in a quarter is. I need y'all to really process how big that number is, right? So the revenue number is unbelievable, but the profit number, I mean, my Lord, $13.9 billion is money you did not have. That's money you created. That's money you took out of the economy, money you got from other people, right? So that's after you paid all your bills, right? So these companies are not doing bad. The big problem, though, is that capitalism, this is why I'm not a big fan of Black people becoming hardcore capitalists. When people say you promote Black capitalism, I say, no, I don't. I've never walked around and said I was a capitalist. I'm not a hardcore capitalist because I understand capitalism better than you do. And as a person who understands capitalism, who's taught capitalism and capitalism related topics for the last 20 something years at Syracuse University and University of Kentucky, et cetera, I learned when I was 22 that I didn't want to be a hardcore capitalist. Why? Well, because I can't be greedy enough to want to be a hardcore capitalist. Hardcore capitalism is focused solely on growth and it doesn't care about anything. Capitalism, unfortunately, is a little too Eurocentric for me because it gets to the point, you ever see those families where it's like they would damn near sell their mama to make an extra couple dollars, or they have a sibling that they get into a fight with and it's a rich family and they get into a fight over money and they don't talk to their sibling for the next 30 years. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live like that. At that point, money has become your God. And that's just not a healthy way to live, because then you end up doing things that are harmful, that are inhumane. Your medical system, the reason that you spend more money than any country on earth on healthcare and your healthcare sucks is because of capitalism, hardcore capitalism. Now, I'm not a socialist. I'm not a Marxist. Do not put labels on me. I'm just a Black man who tries to understand the benefits and consequences of every point of view. So I don't walk around with these labels. Don't be labeling me. I ain't no damn package of meat at the damn grocery store. I'm a human being who tries to understand different points of view. So ultimately, what I want to say to you is that when I see this fight with the employees, I'm going to say to the Google employees, go, go, go. Push them. Challenge them, make them explain what they're doing. Remind them that, look, you can keep a lot of your workers and still make your bread. Your workers that you're getting rid of were part of the crew that helped you make 13.9 billion in profit in the last quarter alone, right? Your workers are the ones who helped you make 270 billion in revenue last year. Those workers that you're getting rid of are high quality people who have families and stuff like that. Would it be possible for you to keep some of those people on, maybe all of them, and still make $250 billion next year in revenue? Yes, you can. Now the downside though is unfortunately the system. I mean, I'm really speaking in terms of a fantasy, right? Because really what occurs then though is that the company does not achieve the thing that capitalism demands, which is growth. Investors are pissed at Google because not because the company's not making money, but because the company's not making more money now than they made last year. Growth is growth, 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 and that's, I think, kind of unhealthy because you can't grow forever, and Google eventually is not going to be able to keep growing like they have in the past. So, long story short, I own Google stock. I'm a shareholder. I'm going to keep owning the stock. I'll probably buy more because unfortunately, here's another reality. This is why I want all Black people to become investors. Give me a yes if you're either investing or you plan to invest in the stock market. Give me a yes if you get what I'm saying. I need you all to change your behavior. I want you to really evolve as investors, not just listen to me. I need you to apply some of the stuff that I'm talking to you guys about. Stock market investing is one of the great keys to wealth in this society. So here's what occurs when companies lay off employees. The sad reality is that the employees get hurt. It sucks. It's terrible. It's freaking horrible. But to the extent that they're cutting fat and not cutting muscle, then the share price goes up because profitability goes up. Right. And this is under the assumption that what happens is the market makes an assessment. The market says, you just laid off 12,000 employees and it's causing some issues, but you're saving, X billions of dollars. And if you can keep your revenue relatively stable, then okay, that's good. It's like I'm doing flight training right now. I'm learning how to become an airplane pilot. And if you're in an airplane and you're going up at a certain speed and you have a certain amount of weight on the plane, you really got to study. There's a lot of procedures to fly. And one of the things about flying is that weight is really important. So if you're flying at a certain altitude and you dump some weight, you throw your suitcase out the window, then your plane can probably fly a little bit higher with a little less fuel. So ultimately, this company will probably, they've probably done the cost benefit analysis. They probably did what a lot of companies did during the pandemic, and that's they overexpanded. Amazon overexpanded, hired too many people. Google overexpanded, hired too many people. Microsoft overexpanded, hired too many people. And if I could have it my way, if I were on the board of directors, if I were the CEO of Google or an advisor to the CEO, I would have told them during the pandemic, don't hire so many people because this is temporary. And then you're going to be forced to have to go lay off a bunch of these people and you're going to ruin their lives, right? Like, don't date that girl if you're going to break her heart. Don't date her if you're only going to be around for 6 months and she's thinking that, she's thinking you might marry her. Just kind of like take your time and be careful because a lot of people get hurt when there are layoffs of this magnitude. So do I approve the layoffs? Not really. As a shareholder, I will probably economically benefit. Do I encourage the employees to fight? Yes, I do. I think that workers' rights are really important. America became a less successful country when we killed labor rights, when they let the Republicans kill the labor unions in the 1970s. And again, I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I'm just a Black man. I vote Black in every election. That's it. I just vote Black. But when the Republicans killed workers' rights, it caused employee loyalty to really drop. So now, back when my mama grew up, you could go work for a company and you'd be there 30 years. They would take care of you. You could pour into them because they were going to pour into you. Now these companies will drop you at the drop of a hat. It's kind of like being in the NFL where you have a great person who's a great defensive back who maybe, I don't know, falls over in the middle of a game of a heart attack or something. And then next thing you know, they're looking to cut that guy no matter what promises they made to him. I'm not a fan of that. I think that the commitment has to go both ways. And so if you're not loyal to the corporations, I don't blame you. Don't be loyal to the corporations because those hoes ain't loyal. These hoes ain't loyal. These companies are not loyal to you. So why should you be loyal to them? I think you should be loyal to your family and loyal to the wealth that you're building for your community. And that's where the loyalty is reciprocated. And that's how I think. Okay, so I'm not a capitalist. I'm more of a blackist or a familyist or I don't know, a boycist, whatever you want to call me. But I'm not. I don't believe in the capitalist elements that are driving these layoffs because I see a lot of it is unnecessary, to be honest with you. All right, guys. So anyway, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Just a reminder, I do have a new book. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, and it is a guide for any family that wants to build a wealth legacy that will last for the next 10 generations. So feel free to take a look at this book. You can find it on Amazon or go to boycewatkins.com. And the book is getting excellent reviews. And one of the things that my wife sent me a statistic yesterday where she said that most family wealth disappears in the first generation. I already knew it, but it was interesting to see it again. Most family wealth disappears in one generation. So all this hard work you're doing to build wealth is going to probably go away unless you make a plan to protect it. So the fourth step in the Dr. Boyce steps to wealth, the number 4, which I'm going to talk to some kids about today, is protect what you have. You must protect your wealth. So this book talks to you about how to build the wealth and how to protect it. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com to take a look. And also, last but not least, if you want to take a look at some of our financial workbooks and flashcards for kids, you can go to financialworkbooks.com. We cover every grade band. We believe deeply in the Black Business School in preparing your kids for future wealth by getting them started early. So the same way you got your daughter in dance class at the age of 7, you got your son going to football camp at the age of 9, you got your other daughter going to gymnastics camp at the age of 12, whatever, you got to get your kids in wealth camp early, because when they're 30, they're going to need money. When they have a family, they're going to need money. When they have kids, the average child costs $300,000 to raise. So if they have 5 kids, they're going to have to raise $1.5 million to take care of those 5 kids. Prepare them for the future, and you got to do it now. So if you have children or any young person you care about, get them started early. We built something specifically for you. We only designed this for Black folks. So if Black folks aren't interested, then nobody is. So feel free to go to financialworkbooks.com. We built this whole thing just for you. All right, guys, I'm out of here. God bless you. Have a good day. And I'll check back in a little bit later. I got to go get this speech in Atlanta. And after that, I'm going to probably come back in a little bit later on tonight. So have a wonderful day, everybody. God bless you. Love you. I'll see you soon. Peace.